Welcome back to our Frugal Debt Free Journey podcast. We're Joel and Christy from the Long Run with Joel and Christy. And today I think we got a really good show for everybody today. We're going to talk about strategies for finding the best flights. Now, some of you may not fly very much. We don't fly a whole lot. But if you do fly a lot, then we hope this show will be good for you today. Even if you don't fly a lot, we hope that you can get some tips from today that will help you when you do fly again. So that you can save some money on those flights.
I will say we don't fly often, but when we do, we look for the best value.
That's correct.
And we have flown for as low as like $24 from Florida to California.
So, that's right.
Yes,
that's right. Maybe we'll get into that. Maybe we won't. But we'll see as we get down into this. That may come up again. So we want to talk. We'll start by talking about the basics. The basics of flying, the basics of planning your trips, things like that, and the basics of flight pricing. Now, airlines, they kind of fluctuate their airfares due to different factors like demand. So if there's a lot of people on a particular flight, then the price is going to go up. If there's a particular time of day that people want to fly more often, then the price is going to be higher during that time of day. If you've noticed, you can get a 6 a.m. flight cheaper than you can get a 10 a.m. flight. It's just because people don't want to get up at 4 a.m. to get to the airport. They'd rather get up at 8 a.m. to get to the airport. So time of day, airline pricing, different airlines price at different times, at different prices throughout the day. And so you might find a different price for Delta than you do for American Airlines at 10 o'clock. So you want to make sure that unless you're brand loyal to a specific airline, and we'll talk about that a little bit too as we continue. But you want to really kind of check around the different airlines and see what all the different prices are. But by understanding these dynamics, you can better navigate the booking process and snag the best deals. And that's our goal for you today. Is we want you to snag the best deals on your flights. Mm-hmm. All right, so let's talk a little bit about timing. When do I need to book my flight? What time of day? What day of the week? What time of the year do I want to book my flight? And timing really plays a crucial role in how you book flights, right?
Yep.
All right.
Was I supposed to add more?
I don't know. Jump in anytime.
Yes, I believe it is.
Okay. Now you want to book your ticket well in advance. Now I know there's some situations where you can, if you have an emergency, you have to fly on an emergency for something, then you can't book it way in advance because you don't know that's coming up. But if you know that you have a trip coming up, you want to book it out as far in advance as possible, 6 to 8 weeks, 2 months, 3 months, however long you've got. Make sure you book that as many days as possible in advance of your flight, because a lot of times you can get cheaper flights that way if you book it in advance. Mm-hmm. So make sure if you're booking a trip, book it 3 to 4 months out, book your flights, and you'll get a cheaper flight than you would if you were booking 1 month in advance, or even a week in advance, or even 2 months in advance. So the further out you book it, the better chance you have for a cheaper flight. Also, being flexible with your travel dates and your travel times. If you're kind of flexible on when you want to fly, Priceline used to have a particular deal. If you were flexible on your flight times, you could just go on to Priceline, and you wouldn't know what time, or you know what day, but not what time your flight was going to fly out. But you could name your own price, and if they accepted it, they would give you a ticket on a particular flight that day. You wouldn't know until after you bought the ticket what time the flight was going out, but that was a good way to save money, because if you were flexible on your time, then you wouldn't have to. You could book it at any time, and you could save that money. Yeah. I think they still do that, but they have gone to a more conventional flight booking service now as well. So
I think that also, I think it's Mondays or Tuesdays. if you are actually sitting down to book your flights on a Monday or Tuesday, you
Yep.
may get lower prices than if you wait till like Friday or Saturday.
Yeah.
So the day of the week may help as well.
Yeah. So if you're flexible on your dates, that's another good way to be able to save money on your flights. You can significantly reduce costs, especially also if you're traveling off season. You don't want to fly the day before Thanksgiving or the day before Christmas. Now, maybe on Christmas Day, when nobody's flying, you might can get a cheap flight out. But you just want to make sure you're watching those times when those surge prices are going to come up and the flights are going to be a little bit more expensive. So do your homework. And make sure you're booking for those times where the flight prices are a little less expensive. The next thing is you want to consider alternative airports.
Mm-hmm.
Now, most major cities have a major airport and what I call a minor airport. So, like when we lived in Houston, the major airport was Bush International, and the minor airport was Hobby Airport. And so most of Southwest flights went out of Hobby, but you can still get a Delta flight, you get an American Airlines flight. All those carriers still flew out of Hobby, and sometimes those prices were a little bit cheaper. So if you fly out of the smaller airport or fly into a smaller airport, then you may be able to get a cheaper price. I know when we flew into Chicago back in 2022 for the Chicago Marathon, the first time we did it in 2012, we flew into O'Hare. When we flew into in 2022 for the Chicago Marathon 10 years later, we flew into Midway, which is on the south side airport. It's a little bit smaller airport, easier to navigate if you're on time, which we weren't going back. We almost missed our flight, but we did fly into.
We made it.
We did make it, but we did fly into the smaller airport, and that saved us a little money as well on those flights. So I know here in Orlando you have MCO, which is the international airport, and then you have an airport up in Sanford, which is the smaller airport in this area. So most major cities are going to have two airports: a major airport and what I call a minor airport. And sometimes you fly into or out of the minor airport, you can save a little money in that way as well.
Yep.
All right. And I know you want to talk about this as well. You probably want to add some things in here. On the next thing we want to talk about is use price comparison tools. Now we talk a lot about this, especially in our grocery hauls and things like that. You want to use price comparison. You want to compare prices. You want to do the math. All of those things. It's the same way when you're flying. You want to compare prices. You can go to a website like Expedia.
Mm-hmm.
Expedia will give you different prices for different airlines, and you can choose one that's best for you, or you can go to the different airlines and try to do it yourself. But you want to do a lot of shopping around. You can go to websites like Google Flights or Skyscanner,
Mm-hmm.
Kayak, and also Expedia. Those all give you a lot of different flights to choose from, a lot of different prices you can choose from as well. So they'll track fares for you and give you. They'll track the fares for you over time, and then give you some lower prices that you can choose from when you go to select those flights. So make sure you're using those price comparison tools, and so that you can save money in that way as well.
Also, when you are looking at websites like Expedia or Trivago or somewhere like that, at their flights, also consider if you have hotel needs and stuff. If you do a combination of flights and hotel and maybe rental car, you might get a combination deal that would be better than paying for those all separately.
Yep.
But that's not always the case. Don't assume it. And that's where you, again, have to do your math on it. Look at how much it would cost you to do the flight.
Mm-hmm.
Look at how much it would cost you to have a hotel room. Look at how much it would cost you to have a rental car.
Yep.
Or transportation, like if you do the subway or
Mm-hmm.
something like that. And then look at it and say, is that cheaper than what they're showing me for a combination deal.
Hmm.
And if it isn't cheaper, then go with the combo.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if you go with the combo, you can sometimes get. It's like if you do a combo at a fast food joint, you're going to get it cheaper than you would most of the time than you would if you buy a hamburger, fries, and a drink by itself. So, yeah, try out those combo deals on your websites and see if you can get a better deal than just if you're doing those things. Usually when you have a flight, you're going to have a hotel too, and probably a car because you have to drive around.
Mhm.
And so, if you can find those combo deals, then you'll be able to you may be able to save a little money combining those things together. We've already talked about this a little bit, but you also want to embrace flexibility. Um, Flexibility is kind of a key to unlocking savings. If you're flexible on your dates, on your times, when you want to fly, airlines you want to fly. Sometimes these websites they'll send you out on Delta, but they'll bring you back on American Airlines because they're searching for the cheapest flight, not just the carrier.
Right.
And so you can look into that as well, but be flexible about who you fly with, or when you fly, how you fly, how are you going to do it, and that you can be flexible that way. Also, there's a good tip here. You want to keep an eye on last minute sales, last minute flash sales. Sometimes if you book a flight at the last minute, they may be trying to book some seats and maybe have some open seats, and maybe you can get something at a cheaper rate. But you gotta be ready to act on those because they disappear pretty quickly because people are always looking for cheaper flights. So embrace flexibility, and you'll be able to save some money in the long run. We also want to talk about loyalty programs and airline miles. Now, this kind of comes into how we do our flights. I've been a Delta Sky Miles member since 2008, and I've had a Delta Sky Miles American Express card since 2008. And since then, that card has grown from just a regular card to a gold card to a platinum card. And now it's a reserve card, which is the highest level you can get. So it comes with some perks that we get. And just because of how much money we spend on the card every year, I use it for work. And every dollar that I use on there translates into Sky Miles credits, and I'm able to use those for flights. We also get one companion ticket every year, where if we go somewhere, if I fly, Chrissy can fly for free. So we use that a lot, at least once a year.
Mm-hmm.
We also get vouchers I get free access to the Delta Sky Club, and I get 4 vouchers every year. So anytime we go on a flight, then she can go into the Sky Club with me. But even if we don't have the vouchers, it's only $25 for her to get in if I'm there with her. So,
But the Sky Club has a buffet.
Yep.
So either breakfast or lunch and dinner foods.
Yeah.
So whenever we're there, we don't have to pay for any food in the airline, and we also don't have to bring food into the airport.
That's right.
So it saves us money because we're not eating somewhere trying to get.
Yeah. So definitely check out those loyalty programs, the airlines, Sky Miles, the airline credit cards. If you use credit cards, and we're not advocating using credit cards unless you're able to pay it off each month, but they do come in handy when you're trying to stack up miles and use them for loyalty points and for perks that they give along with the cards. So just think about that as you're thinking about saving money.
Right, and as he noted earlier, the card that he uses is primarily used for work expenses, and he's reimbursed in the same month.
Yep.
And he turns around and pays it back off in the same month. So we're not carrying a balance. So
That's right.
if you do it just to get the rewards points on personal purchases, and you know that it might become an obsession to the point that you're using that card all the time and you're not paying it off in the same month, then you're not saving money, you're wasting money.
That's right.
So don't do it for those reasons. Only do it if you are disciplined enough, or it's a work thing that you do so that you're always reimbursed and you're always paying it off every month. So
That's right. And just some final thoughts as we end today. Saving money on flights, it requires patience. It requires a little flexibility and a little bit of savvy. You want to be able to get in there and get those deals, look for them as best you can, find them, and then use them as you can. It takes a little practice doing that. So, uh, the best time to start is now. If you got a trip coming up, you're going to take a flight. Just go ahead and start looking around for those cheaper flights, ways you can save money on those. But by following these strategies, we really think that you can maximize your opportunities, maximize your dollars that you're using, your hard-earned dollars that you're making every day. You want to make sure you're spending those wisely with the maximum opportunities that you have. And we believe, as we have shown on our other channel, Adventures on the Long Run, and on here too, on the Long Run with Joel and Christy channel, we've done some of our travel content on here that you can make your travel dreams come true, and you can save a little money along the way.
Yep.
Thank you for joining us. If you're watching on YouTube, the podcast on YouTube, drop us some comments below and let us know how you save money on flights. We always love to hear those tips from you guys. You always have some really good tips for us, and we love to hear those. Drop those in the comments below. All right, well, that's going to do it today for the Our Frugal Debt-Free Journey podcast. If you're watching us on YouTube, give us a big thumbs up. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. Drop us those comments below and let us know what your tips are. But that's going to do it today. We're Joel and Christy for the Long Run with Joel and Christy and Our Frugal Debt-Free Journey podcast. And don't forget, it's a long run. Give yourself a little grace.